Hey, big boy.
Hey, and we're live. Hey, big boy.
Sweet.
What's wrong there? Oh man, oh
The
my
first the
God.
first thing you say is "Hey, big," and we're live. Hey, big boy. Oh,
Great.
Jesus Christ!
Okay, you ready to
We're
roll with
all
this?
right.
Let's roll with it.
Yeah, I'm glad we're back. Let's roll.
No doubt. Performance on demand podcast number 52 is.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Welcome to Performance on Demand podcast with Craig and Jeremy, where you will learn all things endurance sports from training and nutrition to mental strength. Everything you need and want to know in one place.
Welcome back to another episode of Performance on Demand podcast. I'm your host, Craig Willard, and I just jacked that all up.
But you know what? We don't give a shit. We're gonna roll with it. Just take
Whatever.
ownership of it, Craig. Just roll with it.
Oh, I owned it. I just jacked it up. What's up, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's funny. I was listening in there, and I heard Kendall do her little intro, and I can every time I hear that, I think back to the probably 15 outtakes that we did to try to get that damn thing right, and then I listened to actually what she said, and I don't know why I've been very reflective lately, kind of, and you and I've had a discussion before about
This is really awkward for you to be reflective. It's awkward.
it's hard. It's hard. It gives me a headache, to be honest with you.
Introspection is a challenge. It's automatic when you start, but it's a challenge once you get started.
It goes well with some Chardonnay, though, however. So,
absolutely.
I was listening to that, and I don't know why here lately I've been thinking about, kind of where I am business-wise, and even as an athlete. I'm 3 weeks out from Ironman Texas, so I'm right on the cusp of getting to back it off a little bit, and you kind of get start to get the anxiety, not anxiety, you start to get excited, and it says training and nutrition and everything you want to know about endurance sports. Now I started thinking about that, and I was like, well, hang on a second. We don't know what we don't know. And then that led me back to our conversation. I don't remember which episode it was, but it's we're always dynamic and evolving. And so I was thinking, as I was talking to Coach the other day, we are talking about something, and I'm like, shit, a year ago, I didn't think it was this way. I didn't believe that it was this method or this idea or whatever. So it's really cool how we evolve. I started off the show with a rant, which everybody's going to love, but it's just it got me thinking as I heard it again that it's exciting how much we can grow if we want to grow.
There's a lot of conversation, especially in the media, about how Hillary Clinton said this 6 years ago, or Obama said this 4 years ago, or 20 years ago. This is what he felt about abortion, and today it's completely different. What's wrong, Obama? But the reality of it is that people think about it. You should change to some level, because if you have a belief 10 years ago or even 6 months ago and you learn things, your beliefs should change. And if it isn't, then maybe your mind is so solidified that it's not going to accept any new information, even if it's proving what you thought you knew inaccurate, to replace it with something which we now know is to be accurate. Fact is only fact until it's proven to be false.
And probably less likely to receive that fact if you're closed-minded, or what is known to be fact, or what is to change your opinion. Probably less likely to accept that.
Jeremy, what really is fact? What is fact? Because most of the things that we talk about is so subjective, right?
It's so. I said that the other day because somebody asked me about some nutritional ideas. Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So and so says this. So and so says that. I said, yeah, but back in the '60s, there were doctors smoking cigarettes saying, "Hey, one a day, you're good." So it's like you're right. Things change, and apparently our break has gotten us excited because every time we get on here, we start off on a rant, and we're not even on the topic that we said we were going to talk about.
We have not started our topic.
We haven't even started the podcast, really. We just it just flows when it's good. It's good. You've had your coffee, and now you're chasing it with a beer. I've had. I would say, don't judge me, but a few glasses of white wine, and I did just destroy a Klondike bar. Do not judge me for that. But it just kind of flows. So anyway, what's new in your world,
man? Well, I actually did an anxiety class yesterday.
Oh, I
Turned
saw
out
that. How
really
was it?
well. Yeah, it was really good. You never know how many people are going to show up to these things. I mean, I think we did a Facebook event, and I think there was 21 interested, 7 that were going to show up. I think we had 5 there, which was still fine.
That's a good
But it was really,
percentage out of
really
those
good.
7.
Yeah, it was really good. The people took a lot from it. I gave them a packet to send home with all kinds of information about irrational beliefs and how to literally move past anxiety. It was a really, really good class. Probably do another one, and I may even, and I'd been wanting to do this. I probably will end up creating an online class for all the listeners out there who have that problem, that don't have the ability to obtain a significantly quick. I mean, it's significantly quick. Does that even work together? I don't know. But
It's good now. I'm good with it.
it works. Corona
I go to
says it's
school.
fine.
I like school. I like school a lot.
I like it. I'm getting a PhD, but I don't know how to spell that.
That's awesome.
So anyway, but I probably will create an online class to help people get through anxiety, because it took me about an hour and a half to go through it, and it's life-changing, and you don't have to go to see a therapist 10, 15, 20 times to go through it. I'm going to teach it to you one time. You're going to reuse it over and over and over again, and you're going to be empowered by it. So anyway, enough about it. That's what I've been doing. What about you, Jeremy?
Well, this podcast is brought to you by Your New Life with Craig Willard, right? That's our sponsor for this one.
That's right. Your New Life podcast for your old life to be a new one.
And this segment brought to you in part by. So no, things are good. We had Kima Triathlon down here today, and they canceled the swim. They canceled the swim.
Yeah.
It's a boat start swim, and they canceled it because we've had so much rain and flooding in Houston that it literally turned the Galveston Bay, into a shithole. There was the E. coli and fecal matter percentages were like 30 times the legal amount or whatever. So they said.
So what you're saying is all the athletes went out there and swam and pooped in the water while they were in it.
Basically,
that's what, yeah.
So they decided to cancel it just because, it's just not always good to digest that stuff, no matter how bad you want to swim. And so they canceled that, and I was very fortunate to give a shout out to a listener, and I think one of the only people to ever call in and actually chat with us and give us topics and stuff. Tracy from South Louisiana, she came over and did the race. Got to meet her on the course today, looking strong. So had a great event today. My 3 weeks of hell have ended, which are good. I had 3 weeks just cram-packed with coaching and training and life, and it's just finally now it's like, okay, cool. We had baseball 7 straight days, and as you know, it takes over when you have your kids involved in activities and stuff, and then you got to fit everything else. And on top of that, I'm training for some extremely long exercise competition here in a few weeks. So
is it like a 5K?
Yeah, it's like a 5K. It is, and there are mimosas afterward, which kind of sucks because of some connections here in Houston. Kendall now has a VIP package for the race, so she gets to see me out of the water, goes to have brunch and frickin' mimosas while I'm out on the bike sweating my ass off. So, yeah,
well deserved for putting up with your ass.
Bullshit. I ran almost 30 miles with her last year during hers. I did not get a mimosa. Matter of fact, I turned down water at the water stops so that she could have it. Don't even get me started. So, but you know what, man? Life's good, dude. No matter how much pressure, no matter how much stress, no matter how much requirements or demands are on your time, life's really good.
Life's good. So, you can't. We can complain, but there is always worse. Always.
Oh, and that's the part that I get caught in every now and then. I'm like, I don't really have time to sit down and scratch my ass for 10 minutes, but it's really not that bad. It's really better than anything I've ever had, and it's incredible. But it is what it is. So right. That being said, let's quit boring people. Nobody gives a shit about us, dude. Come on.
No, nobody cares.
I mean, when we took that break, we had one person that said, "Hey guys, where you at?" And then a week later, "Hey guys, I'm really pissed off. Where are you at?" So, and he actually gave us topics. He said he's glad to have us back. He gave us some topics, and so we'll cover those in the next couple of weeks. But so people really don't give a shit about us, and we're going to take ownership of that, right? We're okay with that.
I don't care.
We're good with that. So
That's right.
today's topic is one I think that you had brought up, and I think it's a very powerful one, and that is, like I've said 2 or 3 times already, trying to segue into it. It just doesn't work with us, but is taking ownership. And Craig, what is to you? If you had to define it and put it on Google so it's official? What is taking ownership? Or what is ownership? What is ownership? There we go.
It's well, it's a mortgage.
Adulthood.
Adulthood. It's adulting. I am adulting. I own things. No, ownership is basically, in my opinion, is being accountable. It's holding yourself accountable for something. You own it, therefore you are responsible for it, and it is obviously yours. That would be what I'd say real quick.
Yeah, no, I would. I'm in agreement with that, and something that we've talked about. It's funny because all these topics we talk about, we have talked about or mentioned, whether online or offline, in the past at some point, but they all really tie in together. Everything we do
Absolutely.
kind of just cycles back around on itself, and so it's an ever evolving process, but it's all linked together. And so ownership is one of those things that I think is tough in the sport. It's tough in life, but it's just sport specific. It's tough in the sport because a lot of times we think we're not good enough, or a lot of times we don't get what we think. We have this kind of sense of entitlement. I've been exercising a lot. I've been working out a lot. Man, I don't know why, my threshold isn't increasing. I don't know why my performance was like X, Y, and Z. And we don't want to see, I guess we don't want to identify the process leading to it and find those missing bricks in the wall, if you will.
Sure.
And so that's tough to do because I think to take ownership, you have to actually appreciate what you're not good at or what you haven't done well. The fact that I've missed quite a bit of key training for Ironman Texas, and I've accepted that, and so, but it's hard to do because it's very humbling.
Sure.
We don't like to be bad at anything. We've said that before, right?
That's right. We don't. Also, there are, when I think immediately of an athlete taking ownership, I think a lot about leaders and where leaders have to ask tough questions because it's easier to kind of let go of something and say, I'm not good at it, or I'm not seeing the performance, versus a really good leader will say, hey, we notice that we're not getting out of this what we think we should be. So I need to take ownership and start asking some hard questions. And maybe that's, speaking to my coach and saying, hey, why is this not on the right page? Maybe I have an expectation that's not being met.
Yes.
But I gotta own where I'm at. I gotta be where I'm at, and I have to accept the fact that I'm exactly where I am because of whatever it is that I've done to this point. And in order to do that, I need to be a leader. And I'm gonna own it, whether it's good or bad. I own it. Agreed?
Yeah, no, that's a hell of an analogy. I mean, that connects and resonates with me because, I had an athlete probably 3 months ago that was coming up to a marathon and underperformed, and I thought she was where she needed to be, and so, it's one of those things where you kind of swallow your pride and you go back and you start looking at what happened to get this athlete to underperform this event. Was it something immediately leading up to it? And looking back at it, I actually built her training plan and peaked her about 2 weeks early. And most age group athletes can't hold a peak for that long. Professional athletes can hold it for 2 to 4 weeks sometimes, but most age group athletes can't. It's kind of an up and then down, and then they're kind of chilling again. So I told her, I said, look, I did you wrong. I'm sorry. I hope you keep working with me. I made a mistake. I learned from it, and I think that's the biggest key with taking ownership, good and bad, is what do you learn from it? Because if you continue to make the same mistake, well, then you're the idiot, right? So, I admitted to it, and that's why your analogy resonated with me, because I've had to step up and say, hey, I screwed up, and the athlete was like, oh, it's all good. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Just, cool. And now we know. Let's move forward, and that taking ownership sometimes is really hard. It's hard for you to say, hey, I sucked at this. I did something wrong. But at the end of the day, I think more growth potential comes from taking ownership in a situation that you didn't maybe execute properly or didn't plan for properly. I think that's where I think exponential growth can come out of that in comparison to successes and execution and having things be perfectly lined up the way you planned them.
When you just said, you used the word perfection, and That's a tough word because we want to be perfect, but the reality of it is we can't be perfect because there really isn't. There's always a way to improve whatever it is that we're doing. So that ownership is that holding yourself accountable to say, hey, I demand, whether, we've talked about this before, which is demand excellence. I don't really care much for greatness because I think greatness is really dependent upon other individuals.
Here's your and that quote from last week. I wrote this down because I love it. Excellence is you. Greatness is a you against everyone else.
That's right. Absolutely.
I wrote it down because that's a freaking awesome statement. Like, that's legit.
Yeah, and how do you do that? You take ownership of where you are about you. It's not about anything else. You just, some days you got a bad run. Own it. Hey, wasn't a great run. Next time it's going to be better. And if you have bad run after bad run, it's ownership. Hey, I'm having bad runs here. Is there something else going on? I need to do. We mentioned earlier introspection, which is that evaluation of yourself and looking at a mirror and yourself.
And that's tough.
Oh, it is tough.
It's
but
tough.
That's part of owners. You can't, if you're not going to own it, you're not going to be it. I just don't know how you. I mean, you might trip over something at some point or another, but if you don't own it, I don't know how you're ever going to get there. You got to own a majority of it. For example, as a coach, you own the mechanisms for which someone is going to follow to get from point A to point B. That is
right.
Your responsibility as a coach. But as an athlete, you're not. Yes, you are just to follow the plan, but you are to own the plan. It is your plan. Don't half-ass through it and expect to have great results. You got to own it. You got to be it 100%. Know what you want. Know why you're doing it. Own every footstep. And then if you don't, we go back to the why and go, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it?
Yep.
Sorry, that was a little rant.
No, I mean, dude, we step on soapboxes all the time. You're a bigger dude, so it takes a little bit bigger soapbox, but we're not going to discuss that. That's a sensitive topic.
Except my legs, right?
Except for your legs. Even Kendall was like, that picture of Craig, it's like he's a triangle. She goes, does he seriously, like, I know you joke with him, but does he seriously never work his legs? I'm like, I've seen a couple of videos of him, like, squat pressing, like 1,000 pounds or something just ridiculous. Yeah. I said, but I don't know that he ever does anything to develop his calves. I don't know what he does there. So anyway, I digress. And it's funny because we've kind of talked about taking ownership from a negative light, like I feel as a negative angle, which is fine because that's a lot of times what it is. But it's also taking ownership is, to me, is an appreciation of where you are. Mm-hmm. If you go out and you have a great race, damn it, you did that, right? You did that. Take ownership of that. Yeah. And I had a conversation with two athletes today that raced. Both of them raced out of their minds. I would dare to say that, and I told you this earlier, they maximized their level of fitness. They could not have executed any better, could not have performed any possibly better with their current level of fitness. And yet both of them seem to be a little bit, humble's not the word, apprehensive, maybe unsuspecting of their, we'll call it success, or unsuspecting of their performance. And so they're kind of like, well, I don't know. And I told both of them, like, you got to own that shit. You did that. Thanks, coach, for the plan and the race strategy. Okay, cool. I appreciate those props. But you had to execute every single piece of that plan. You had to execute the training going up to it. And it's taking ownership of where you are. And that's in a negative light or a positive light. That's in a way of saying, man, I'm just really not in the shape I need to be in to meet my goals. Or, man, I did great today because I executed leading up to this. So ownership to me goes both ways.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's not negative and positive. Maybe that's a little bit extreme, but you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Well, no, I think it is. I mean, you got to call it what it is. And so, oftentimes, what keeps people from being positive is the negative. And for example, you get a PR. It's fine. A PR, it's fine.
Yeah.
What they're thinking in their head is, yeah, but everybody else does this too. So I'm nothing special from this PR. No, you PR'd. You
Dude,
PR'd.
nailed it.
You nailed
it.
And so you gotta get up and be like, man, I want to see somebody get up and get excited. I mean, it doesn't matter what anybody else is. You're never competing against anyone else. You're never competing. Now you can go after the race and you can attach numbers and you can put those together. That's fine. But you never can do that consistently because every event completely different. Ironman Texas last year, you can't even compare last year's numbers to this year's numbers. Water's different, temperature's different,
Bike course
humidity's
is different.
Bike course different, yeah, especially bike course is different. I mean, there's all kinds of things that people want to start going into the data. You know, we've had this we've had this conversation.
Oh, we've beat this horse with a stick.
I'm cool with data as it's used as a tool for your coach to understand things, but it's the last thing that you as an athlete need to worry about. You're going to start getting so granule with
granule.
Granule. Did I say that right? Granule. Like grains. Granule.
You said granule. I'm like, what the fuck?
Not granule.
Gotcha. I'm with you. Okay, carry on.
But yeah, it's called a granule. That's a small little.
I thought it was granular. This is why I love you, because I could do shit like that. I could just call you out and say, "Hey, what about this?" And you're like, "Yeah, cool. All right, whatever."
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, carry on. You can get so granular with yourself.
You know what? Well, I just made another word, so don't worry about it. It's like I was thinking about applications one day in phone, and I called it an appliphone. I don't know. I mean,
oh Jesus!
I make up my own words all the time. But anyway, we get so down into the weeds of it that we forget to be thankful and own the fact that we just killed this race.
Oh, that's probably one of a coach's biggest pet peeves.
Sure.
Is you see an athlete do things that I can tell you right now, 6 months ago, a year ago, that they couldn't do. Right?
Yep.
But
yep.
Again, we've said this probably a million times. It just keeps coming back up. It's appreciating where you're at to get to where you're going, and where you've came from. And so, how about this athlete today in the race? Same athlete I discussed with you earlier, goes off and she PRs the 5K distance off the bike in a triathlon. Nobody does that. Nobody freaking does that. Yet it was like, yeah, I PR'd my 5K. Like horse shit. You might as well won the race in my book, because that is a huge, huge thing. Because if you remember, you did your first triathlon, let's say like 5-6 months ago, and you just PR'd your 5K? Really? So, take ownership of it.
Own it.
Man, if you do something good, dude, own it. Own it. If you do something bad, own it.
Post your PRs on Facebook. Something. I mean, give yourself a little flipping credit.
Yep.
And I will tell you, everyone else will too. And maybe that's, you need a pat on the back. You need your own pat on the back. I mean, it's your effort, it's your hard work. Own it too. When you lack, this is a big one, I think. When you lack in endurance, or I would say in fitness, and so instead of owning the fact that you are needing to put extra effort into training or whatever else, go buy all the greatest and latest toys that are going to make you that more efficient. I really need to work on my bike, but if I get these wheels, maybe these wheels will make a big difference. No, own the fact that you need to work on your bike and work on the damn bike. It's not that hard. Leave your bike alone until your coach says, get you a new bike, or get you some new wheels, or get you a new Cobb seat, because being comfortable is faster, or whatever. What is it Cobb says? What is their new
comfort equals speed?
Slogan? Comfort equals speed. I always thought, when I remember, what was it? Wedding Crashers, is it built for speed or is it built for comfort?
So let's make the comfort. Let's take that little slogan though. Comfort equals speed. How about being comfortable with yourself equals confidence, which equals speed?
It does. There's no doubt.
That just came to me out of left field, but I'm like, hang on a second. Comfort
Maybe,
does
I don't
equal
think
speed.
they meant it that way, but I think you just created it for them.
To hell
Maybe they'll
with
listen
them.
to this and they'll apply that.
To hell with
Well,
them.
you're wearing their shirt.
Yeah, this is. I actually designed this shirt, believe it or not, when I worked there. So.
I don't doubt that one bit.
So, I don't know why that just came to me, but I'll forget it, and I'll have to listen to this damn podcast, which is painful, but I'll listen to it and remember it. But
there's comforting confidence. There is. There's absolutely comforting confidence. And it's not the confidence that says that I'm going to go out here and kill it. It says the confidence that I'm prepared to the point that I'm going to do the best that I can do.
Yes,
and then
yes.
As long as I do that, and I don't hold the weight and the burden of time, or I'm looking at a watch and I've lost my analytics, or whatever it may be, or my whatever it is, or the wind is blowing in my face more than I thought, and so I start questioning myself. Therefore, your performance will absolutely nosedive.
100% of the time. 100% of the time. So, Craig, let me ask you this from a mental coach standpoint, because that's, I mean, you are by far and above the expert in that category, not just between us, but amongst, in my opinion, the industry. Um, to take ownership, what are the steps one has to do to be able to be in a position to accept ownership of the good and the bad from a mental
Uh,
coaching standpoint? Are there
Confidence.
steps? Are there steps like you got to? Are there checklists like you got to have A, B, C, and D in order to be able to truly, genuinely accept
No.
ownership?
That's the thing about mental coaching, that it's not, it's fluid. It never is the same thing for two different individuals. A low confidence rating for one individual may not be the same. I could build or help them go through a process or a method, which I will say for anxiety. So there's a very standard process to help someone get through anxiety. But to take ownership or to deal with confidence, one person may have a lack of confidence in one area that if I coach them and then turn around and coach somebody else with a lack of confidence, it doesn't work the same.
Right, right.
Every coaching situation is tailored. It is
Okay.
absolutely tailored not only to the individual but to the person. However, what I will say is if you are not confident, if you are not able to have some introspection, some reflection upon yourself, if you are not willing to accept the fact that you are exactly where you are based upon everything that you've done thus far, if you live in a world of forward thinking to the point that you freak out about everything in the future, and you struggle with being in the now, you got to be able to be present in order to have that recognition to be able to own it. It's really hard to own something that you're doing now when you're too worried about thinking about something in the past or thinking about something in the future.
Right.
I mean, it could go. So it's really hard for me to give, this, and this. However, I recognize that a lot of people would want that. It's just so dependent upon the individual.
Okay, so with that being said, I can definitely appreciate that because that's very much like endurance coaching.
Sure.
There's no special formula that works for everybody. Are there common features or the common threads of people who generally, because I would just assume you and I are both two types of people that we're in such a place with our careers and our lives that we are okay with taking ownership. Sometimes it's harder than others, but what does a person, do they have common threads like you were saying, confidence? Do they have, are they, can they easily introspect? Are there common threads
Well,
or
there's one
go ahead.
very, very, very common on a very core level, which it's something that I tend to enjoy working on a lot, while other people will not get to that level. Even other sports psychology coaches and others, is the very core is thought management.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if it's thinking about something futuristic, thinking about something in the past. It's about thinking about in the current. It's about your thoughts on yourself. So it's your self-talk, your focus, all the things that we've talked about in other podcasts. But it all starts, everything somatic or emotional or behavioral action, all of those things are started by a single element, and that is thought. Thought drives it all.
To the very basic level. Okay.
To the very, 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 very basic level. And so, when we deal with people and that's what I teach about, that's what I teach in this anxiety set, is when you're struggling with consuming something or accepting, what one would call reality, whether, I'm not even getting into that subject because reality is very subjective as well, but to the very core of all the things that we do as a coach, mental coach, or even in counseling and therapy and psychodynamics and all those things, we're all really digging down to a very small seed of thought. And if the reality of it is, if you can control that thought, if you can make decisive thoughts, they're very particular, and they're on purpose.
They're
And you
granule.
can control. They're granule. They're granules. I'm going to look that word up because I almost think it's a real word. But it did. If not, it sounded phenomenal to me. Although
Nailed
maybe
it.
I'm in
Nailed
Kentucky.
it.
It's okay. It's okay. But it's the very core of. I will be willing to bet that we can pull up any podcast and I can connect it to thought every single time.
Okay.
Every
Okay.
time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So Excuse me.
Do I? No, I don't have it on me. But there
You're
is.
Googling granule.
No, there is, and I don't have it, so to speak.
For those that can't
But
see, he's looking around lost right now. He's
yeah,
now touching his dog's head.
no, she Princess left me. She's
You know,
gonna
it's
come
funny.
listen to me.
It's funny because I've got a visually impaired athlete, and
Oh
I
yeah,
never
Ashley.
I never realized
Yeah.
how much like I take for granted things, and I'm like, okay, do X, Y, and Z, and 20 seconds rest between the swims, and she's like, how the hell am I supposed to see my watch? I'm like, good point. So it's always we'll post a picture on Facebook, and we joke about it now, but somebody will post a picture of like a dog, and she's like, oh, that's so cute. I'm like, don't act like you can see what it is. I'm like, that's a monkey riding a pony or whatever, so we have fun with it.
Yeah,
But
she's
anyway,
awesome. I really do like her.
yeah, no,
Um,
she's super cool.
but I guess that's the core of when you take ownership. It's even taking ownership of your thoughts. It's taking ownership of your responses. So you always have a stimuli, you always have a response, you always have a cause, and you always have an effect. And it's ensuring that the effect is what you want to be matched to whatever cause it is. I mean, the cause is, you didn't have the workout that you wanted, that you intended to have, and so there's an effect, and that effect for a lot of people is frustration. Get really upset. It's worthless. Why am I doing this? This is a waste of my time. I'm not growing. I'm not developing. Blah 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 blah, and all the hundreds of things that could happen. Instead, take ownership of it and say, no, it's fine. One bad day ain't gonna make a difference.
Right.
And we have 10, 15, 20, 30 bad days. Well, we may need to talk.
Got an issue.
Yeah, yeah. But one day here and there, just own it and go, it wasn't my best day, but I gave it everything I had. That's the best I can do.
Gave my 100%.
I'm owning my thoughts, and I'm not allowing them to go negative and say, I suck, I'm miserable, I knew I shouldn't have done this, blah blah blah.
Right,
get
right,
depressive and anxiousness and whatever. I guess that's part of it.
Yeah. So to kind of
love dealing with thought.
Well, and to kind of wrap it up, I mean, that seems obviously like the biggest key to that. And since you said that, it kind of spurred a thought in my head that thought really is what every one of these podcasts has been about, 53.
Yeah. You tie everyone.
Some capacity.
Yes.
Some capacity, it could be tied back. So it's really kind of that. And I always think of back in grade school when we would make we'd go to write a paper, and you do like the pre-diagramming or the drafting or whatever, and we'd make that spider web, and you start with that core nucleus, and then you kind of branch out from there. And that's what it is. Thought is at the center of all of that. So
yeah, it's like a confident person. There's no difference in a confident person and one that lacks in confidence. I mean, it's not like they built something in them that it's a perspective. It's what they see, and then it's how they talk about it to themselves to create that that thought talk focus that we talk about with the Focus podcast.
Right.
And how it transitions. But you can have confidence today. Like right now, you can start being confident by making a conscious effort to believe that you are. And so you're absolutely right. Every podcast is based upon thought. And we don't, I truly believe this, we don't, even as a coach, even as the therapist that I know, the counselors that I know, even as other sports psychologists, people that I know, they don't put that as an emphasis. And if you did, you could really get to the core of if a doctor, who go back to anxiety since it's kind of high on my thoughts right now. If you go to a doctor and you say all these things that you're feeling and experiencing, because anxiety is something you experience, it's not something you have. But if you say, I've got sweaty palms, like my heart races, I can't think straight, I got a million thoughts in my head, I can't go to sleep, whatever else, I'm not eating, they're going to try to fix that effect. That's the effects of an anxious thought. That's
it's reactionary.
They want the reaction. They're going to fix the reaction. And so that's why when people quit taking meds, like I was on Paxil, quit taking meds, all that stuff comes right back to the surface.
Yep.
Why? Because we didn't fix it. It's like taking what's like taking a weed, you go outside and you don't pull the whole root up.
Right.
You don't see the weed, but in 3 days, it's just back.
You got fucking dandelions again.
They just won't go away. But if you go down to the bottom and you cut that weed out all the way to the root and you throw it away, it's no longer going to affect you, and that is the very core of
absolutely
ownership.
true. And sometimes you just need to get drunk and set your yard on fire. That's an alternative.
I have seen people do that.
That's an alternative.
A friend of mine's neighbor, he didn't listen to this podcast, but a friend of mine's neighbor, I guess he said he kind of put in his what do you call it, the fuck it bucket? The bucket full of fuck it?
Yep. That's it.
And he put and he said, F it, I can't fix this, so I'm destroying it and we'll start over again. And he literally fried his lot. And I don't know what he used. I don't know if he just torched. He didn't torch it, obviously. I think he burned it with chemicals. But he killed it off and replanted new grass. Eventually, over time, But
sometimes you just got to kick that bucket of fuck it over. Occasionally, it just needs to be kicked over. And thanks to one of Kendall's boys, I did find on Amazon that you can actually purchase a flamethrower. So next time if that chemical doesn't work, you can actually buy a flamethrower. I swear he's
on Amazon.
On Amazon, he's on Amazon looking at stuff the other day. I was like, see if they got a rocket launcher on there. If they do, buy it with your mom's credit card. And he pulls it up. He's like, they don't have a rocket launcher, but they have a flamethrower. And I'm like, are you shitting me? You can buy a flamethrower for $300 that you attach to a propane tank. Okay, game on. So we've got a flamethrower headed this way.
Well, let's wrap this thing up. We're in 35 minutes. Anything else? Final word?
I feel like that topic flows so well, but that's a topic that I think I don't want to say make or break, because I don't think anything can make or break someone or someone's performance or someone's season, but I think that's a key element in the cog, and that's something I've never considered, leading up to now. We always talk about things that we think are important for performance and for just good, sound mind for athletes. But I think this is one that to me, I rank that one up there with one of the higher ones, because if you can take ownership of bad things or of negative outcomes, you can grow from that, like I said, exponentially. And if you take ownership of good things, you can obtain confidence. Yeah. And I truly don't think that anything is more powerful than a confident human being. Like, I don't believe there's anything that is more confident, more powerful, more talented, more driven than a human that has confidence. And ownership can provide that.
Yeah, recognition. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my final thoughts on it. I really like this topic, though.
Yeah, no, it's if you develop ownership, if you look at everything you do and own it as if it is what it is today, good, bad, right, wrong, it is what it is for today. Tomorrow's going to be completely different, and it's going to be a better day. And even if it's a great day, you can make even tomorrow a greater day. And it's the ups and downs. Not every day is going to be. You're not going to PR every single day, especially if you're at 10%. Let's say if you had this 100% range, you're at 10%. It's easier to get to 70% than it is to get from 90 to 98.
You start looking for marginal gains.
Oh, it's marginal at that point. Yeah, you're cutting hairs, but from 10 to 70, man, you can straight out. You could PR weekly.
That's that 70 to 90. That takes a lot of. I've seen athletes do it. It takes a lot of appreciation for who you are.
Yeah.
But I think that's when your why becomes the most powerful tool that you have in your arsenal. Because, like you said, an athlete just starting in a year, I can have an athlete that just starts. They can blow their mind in 1 year working with us as coaches. They will never believe. Yeah, absolutely. They'll never believe where they're at in a year. However, once they get there and they're at that 70%, it's like, okay, just really why the hell are you doing this? And then from there, it's okay. Is that why powerful enough to get your ass out of the bed at 4:15 every single day?
Yep.
And to be on top of nutrition, all these other fun things. So I don't want to get into that. That'll go for a while.
There's reasons that not everyone does this.
True.
There's reasons, and it's hard, but that's why the result, the completion, is of such value to those who have done them, because they look back and go, only 0.000 whatever it was,
Right.
0.00005% of the country of the world has ever completed an Ironman event, and so there's a reason. And so
Well, it's funny you
remember
say that at this timely, because today I was watching the people finish at Kima, and I was thinking about, my athletes that a couple of them were not first timers, but very, very new to the sport. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, and actually I did it yesterday. We're at the baseball field, and it's like 1:00, and I started playing that game of, all right, 3 weeks from today, I will be 2 hours from being done with the bike. And I kind of got those little butterflies. I kind of got that excitement. I kind of got emotional. I'm like, that's why the hell I do this. Like, all right,
the
cool.
culmination.
Yeah, so
It's the collection of all your work, all your hard work,
or lack
you know,
thereof, or lack thereof.
well, it's like the guy taught. So I have a guy that, and this will be it, and we'll wrap it up. But my daughter has a personal hitting coach, and that hitting coach said something the other day, and it's resonated with me. We just say it different ways. He said, "Now look," he said, "I'm teaching you how to hit this ball." He said, "And I want you to work on how to hit this ball every single day you're in here." He goes, "This is where you work. This is where you learn. This is where you grow. But when you get on that dirt, when you get on that field, it's time to smile and have fun. Don't worry about all that stuff. You come back afterwards, and we'll keep on going. But then allow that to kind of evolve into the world of whether you're performing, whether it's an Ironman, whether it's on the course. You just go out there and do your thing. Don't worry about all the things you got to do. Yeah, it's a victory lap. Go out there and just do you. Go have fun, smile, and enjoy it, because this is what you've done everything for. So
that's it.
Anyway, wrap it up. Done.
That's it.
All right. If you want to get a hold of Jeremy over there at at gmail.com or monderectmultisport.com, you can get all your best coaching needs from him.
We're on the Facebook. We're on the IG. I think that's what kids are calling nowadays, the IG.
The IG.
We tweet rarely, but we tweet. We do play with the old tweeter.
That's one I've really struggled with. I just don't get into it as much as other people have.
There's just so much, dude. There's LinkedIn. There's that. I mean, it's just so much. It's like at the end of the day, it's especially now under this training load and baseball and work, and it's like, I don't have time, honestly. And I know that's a piss poor excuse. We've talked about that before, but it's like that's not high on that priority list, right?
Right. Well, that's what it is. It's priority, and what are you going to choose to do? And I feel the same way. I choose not to spend so much time trying to do those things. I'll get what I get and enjoy what I have, but I also enjoy my life of, being with my family, whatever. But anyway, if you want to get hold of me, Craig Willard at u-discover.com. You can also find me at u-discover.com or craigwillard.com. Please email us. Let us know what you think. If you want to get on the show, we'll be glad to take you on too. Performance on Demand Podcast at gmail.com.
So you've got two web addresses, and they both redirect to the same one.
Yep.
So from now on, just say craigwillard.com, because that's really effing cool.
Yeah.
That old u-discover thing, that's old school, man. Nobody does dashes anymore.
It's just.
Tell me where the dash is at on the keyboard. Tell me where the dash is at on the keyboard, right? Right, exactly. So from now on,
it's beside my pointer finger.
from here on, well, see, I do the hunt and peck, and I'm at like 42 words a minute, right? Hunting and pecking. From now on, it's craigwillard.com, because that's just freaking cool.
Yep, that's what it is. craigwillard.com. That's my email address. That's my email address, my web address.
It does sound slightly egotistical, but go ahead.
Hey, well,
there are pictures of Craig when he used to bodybuild and like he was a fitness model. You'll find those on there too. So go check it out, craigwillard.com.
Yeah, they won't find any of that.
/ hidden photo gallery.
That Jeremy probably posted somewhere out there anyway. All right, thanks everyone. Talk to you soon. Later.
Good topic, homie.